Welcome to Nifty's pre-recorded webinar, Preparing the Expo Project, Tools, Tips, and Tricks. On this webinar, we will review the components of the Business Expo project and pitch, identify curricular supports for you and your students, offer tips to organize the process, and end with some questions for you to consider for your classroom. As a result of viewing this webinar, you will be able to explain the value of the Business Expo deliverable, identify existing curricular tools to support and develop the Business Expo project, and construct new suggestions to enhance the entrepreneurial thinking for the 21st century program. Take a moment to reflect. Write down your answers. In 5 words or less, summarize the value of having students complete the business pitch and Expo project. What skills do they use? So let's quickly review the Nifty standard units for the entrepreneurial thinking program. Unit 1 is Exploring Careers, chapters 1 through 4. Unit 2 is Professional Skills and Teamwork, 6 through 11 and 16, and Entrepreneurship, chapters 5, 17, and 18. As we've mentioned before, you may choose to organize your learning a little bit different, but in general, these are the standard units of learning. We organize the components of the Business Expo project by unit to help you as teachers complete the project in pieces rather than all at once. It can be daunting to complete the entire Expo project at the end of the program. So for Unit 1, the Business Expo work includes ideation and idea recognition. In Unit 2, Business Expo work includes your business idea, core beliefs, and goals. And in Unit 3, it includes market research and marketing. And these are all components of the actual PowerPoint template that students need to complete at the end of the program. And all this sort of unitization helps to prepare students for the final deliverable, which, just as a quick review, the actual Business Expo project and presentations are set up like a science fair. So students in groups have expo boards, and at these expo boards, they actually deliver 2-minute business pitches. And students are scored on marketing, best booth display, best business pitch, best overall communications, and most innovative idea. So the components that we saw in the prior slides related to the Business Expo project are really the pieces that go on to the expo board. Nifty provides a number of Business Expo project resources for you and your students. You can find these on Connect or through your program office. The first is one that many of you are probably using already. That's the business pitch template. It's a PowerPoint template that students can fill in and will then put onto their expo boards. The Expo Project Guide, designed for teachers to help you support students to develop their actual pitches. Nifty Sample Project and Student Work. Since the Exploring Careers curriculum has been in use for the last 4 years, we have some student work in addition to a Nifty sample so that students can actually use that as a model. And then we have judges' rubrics. As you prepare for the competition, it's important to show students what's expected of them. Finally, as an ongoing resource for you as a teacher, you have the program guide. And within the program guide, you have a pacing guide, and we'll also discuss a new pacing guide that you'll have access to. The program guide is a great resource for classroom use. It includes lesson plans for all standard Nifty activities and a sample pacing guide. If you turn to the pacing guide, you'll note that in addition to chapter and standard Nifty activities, in yellow there are also Expo activities. On this slide, we selected Expo Activity 2, Opportunity Recognition. This worksheet offers students a chance to think through and write out entire responses for this section before turning to the template. Having students complete these worksheets can also help them prepare for their actual pitches, highlighting key components to include in their oral pitch. In addition to our standard pacing guide, the New York Metro team has developed a new pacing guide that's aligned to ELA Common Core standards for grades 6 through 12. That's reading and writing standards. Like our Nifty standard pacing guide, it highlights all activities by unit, including Expo activities, but additionally highlights the standards it meets. So if we look at page 2, you'll note that For the Business Expo activity number 2, opportunity recognition that we just looked at, you see a summary of the objectives, what students will be doing, and also the writing standards the activity meets. Specifically here, standards 4, 5, and 7. Another great feature about this new pacing guide is that it offers unit-based summative activities to support student learning of ELA standards and a larger Expo project. Now that we've reviewed some great resources for you and your classes, let's focus on how to actually complete the Business Expo project. To guide you, we've outlined these 4 steps that will vary based on your classroom needs. As a first step, we strongly recommend creating Business Expo folders for every group in your classroom. This will help students add and organize any information they need for the project, and for you as a teacher, it allows you to track group progress across the class. The first step in the process is to inventory your student needs. Consider where your students will need the most support. In general, we've seen that students require the most support in developing and practicing the oral pitch component of the Business Expo project. The second step of drafting and feedback supports the iterative nature of entrepreneurial and project-based learning. For students, this step is critical in practicing drive and persistence. Create a schedule for your formal feedback as the teacher, maybe three times during the course, by unit, but use peer reviews on an ongoing basis. Using our example of the oral pitches, you can have students present their drafts to small groups. This way, students have an opportunity to practice being both judge and presenter. If you don't have ongoing access to computers, be sure to plan ahead. If students write first and use lab time to be creative and transfer information, you'll need between 2 to 3 sessions to get all the Expo materials solid. Finally, students are judged on their Expo booth display and their creativity, so you want to give students enough time to prep and also prepare their actual Expo board. Students should have 1 class period dedicated to planning their boards. For this, you'll need to provide them with a list of items that they'll have for assembly: markers, colored paper, maybe glitter. Once students have sketched out what their plan is, they can then begin to assemble their boards. This should take between 2 to 3 class periods. The culminating experience for all NIFTY programs is competition. By now, you've probably already planned your competition. But if you haven't, don't worry. Start today. Most importantly, set the date. It can help you backwards plan to ensure there's enough time for your students to be prepared. As a showcase experience, you want the competition to be set up to simulate what a real-life Business Expo looks like. For this, be sure to reserve all necessary space and materials. Recruit real business people as judges. They tend to ask some great questions and get students thinking. Review professional dress and etiquette with your students. And finally, to celebrate and highlight the work all your students have done, invite family, friends, and community members to support. Now that you've seen some of the tips and tricks that we've had to share, think about how you integrate sample pitches in your classroom. How do you manage the Expo project and the buying and selling experience together as a holistic portfolio learning experience? What tools or examples have you used in your classroom? Post these on NIFTY Connect forums and see what other teachers are doing and saying. Thank you for viewing this webinar. Stay connected. Visit niftyconnect.org for resources and slides from this and other webinars. And if you have any questions, email Jason Delgado at jason.delgado@nfte.com for any follow-up questions or resources to share with the larger teacher group.